As a creator, I really wanted to love this thing, but there is a couple of things you should know about before you decide about the purchase of Hohem Mic-01. So let's get started. Hey guys, a couple of months ago I pulled the trigger and bought myself DJI Mic set because I wanted to improve my audio quality when shooting at home. And that worked nice ever since, and I've been using this for all my videos since then. But now I have a new contender, which is Hohem Mic-01. And as you can see, while similar in concept, there are some differences between two, especially that this one was a third of the price of the original price of DJI Mic. And since we all know that throwing money at the problem is obviously a good thing, let's find out how good is that inexpensive set and whether you should have it or not. I can't overstate how important to my workflow is to have my microphones constantly charged, and previously I was using comic cassettes which required separate charging, and I wasn't always on top of that, and I had to wait for them to charge before I actually sat down and shoot my videos, which wasted a lot of my time. So having a set like that, Hohem Mic-01 or DJI Mic, where the devices inside are constantly charged, is a heaven sent. I was a little bit surprised by Hohem releasing microphones because I know them from the gimbals. I've used one of them in Marrakesh, the M6. You can watch the video in here. But also have a MT2, which has the capability of connecting a lot of things to it, including DSLRs. So to have a Hohem producing a microphone was definitely a step in interesting direction, especially that Hohem Mic-01 is compatible with their gimbal systems. And to make this set sound even more fantastic, it's available from £49 if you just opted out for the receiver and the transmitter. But if you want the case like this with two transmitters and one receiver, you'll have to spend £109, which is still half the price of the DJI set right now, and third of the price when I actually was buying it. I spent nearly £300 on that. So you probably want to know, was it a good idea to get Hohem 01? Right now I'm recording this video using the DJI, but we're gonna switch at some point to this and I'll tell you all about it. But since I need to have it in hand to show you things around, well, I'm gonna use the convenience of having another microphone. I can't overstate how tiny this thing is and how light it is compared to the DJI set, but it comes also with some drawbacks. And those drawbacks are shared between those two products, so I'm just going to jump in and tell you. Now, inside the box, you're going to find the carrying case, two transmitters and one receiver inside the case. And there is a small extension, USB Type-C extension that you can connect to your receiver. There are two windsocks, and that's it. In both cases, I didn't get external lamps. In addition to that, inside the Hohem Mic-01 box, I didn't even have the 3.5mm cable to connect that to different devices, so you'll have to source that on your own. And as the case is small, it becomes apparent that there is no space for anything else. You can't even carry the windsocks inside it, so sooner or later you're going to end up with an additional pouch where all the accessories are being stored as well, which to me is tiny little bit annoying, because if you offer a portable solution, you want everything to be tightly, neatly packed inside a single box. However, I'm going to be a little bit more forgiving because this kit has been designed to be used with the mobile phones and other devices. So let's get started. What's brilliant about it is that it actually contains everything you need to use it with the mobile phones. Simply open the case, remove the receiver, plug it to your phone, and you can start recording videos with premium sound. Now the receiver comes with a USB Type-C port that you can simply plug in into your phone. If you have an iPhone, there is a version with a Lightning port, but since Apple is phasing this out, sooner or later you're just going to find USB Type-Cs taking the lead. Another reason why this transceiver is so small is the fact that it doesn't have an OLED display like DJI Mic or built-in battery. It takes the battery from the phone itself. Now, if you want to charge your phone, there is a USB Type-C power pass-through, so you can either power this adapter separately or you can use it as a pass-through to charge your phone as you shoot, which is a neat option to have. And included buttons allow you to repair your transceivers and also to control the gain of the transceivers. There are 5 levels of gain controls on this device. It's nice to have. On the other side, we have a 3.5mm real monitoring output, so you can use that to either listen to your output to make sure the audio is to your requirements, or use that to connect with another device as an audio input. Where Hohem really shines when it comes to mobile use is the fact that you have mobile controls directly on your transmitter. So when clipped into your shirt, if you want to start or stop recording, you just press the button on your transceiver and that will allow you to do so. You can also mute the microphone too directly from this device. So those are the features that they weren't present on DJI Mics, and I really like the ability to do it this way. If you thought that was cool, it's not the only way that you can use the Hohem Mic-01. Mine has USB Type-C port, which means I could just simply plug it into my computer and start using it as a microphone. And there is no extra software requirements. I simply just plugged it into my USB port, opened the voice recorder, and started to use with my wireless lavalier set. It worked perfectly. The disadvantage was the shape, which means this has ability to cover any ports next to it. However, the included USB Type-C cable extension fixed that for me, so I'm not going to list it as a disadvantage. Unfortunately, the clever button bindings that worked on Android phones, they don't translate into anything on the computer, so you'll have to use the traditional mode and means of operation using your fingers, mouse, whatever you're gonna use. I don't know about any DSLRs supporting a microphone input of a USB Type-C. If you know, give me a shout in the comments. But you can output the audio using the headphone jack on the receiver and plug it into a DSLR. And I was super excited to try it out because obviously I am using DSLR Sony Lumix S5 to shoot most of my videos. But the disadvantage of not having battery means you'll have to use external, for example, a power bank or something similar to power this device before you can use it with the traditional cameras. I was super excited to give it a try, however I ran into some problems. If I use the same configuration as my DJI Mic, I got an audio like this. Unfortunately, this is what I got when I plugged in my Hohem set. And that got me really confused because I've plugged in my headphones to the headphone jack for the real monitor and the audio was crisp and nice. I've used the computer, I used the mobile phone and it worked perfectly. But when using with DSLR, it produced a constant hiss and I couldn't really resolve that. I was using the same cable and the same settings. After playing with different settings for a while, I discovered that if I'm going to change from microphone input to line-in input, the hiss would go away. However, the audio recording would be quite quiet. This is where the gain options came in handy because I was able to increase the gain on the receiver and that brought the audio to actually usable levels. It was still on the quieter side, but I actually was able to use it, which I'm going to demonstrate later on in this video. And once I found out about this, I pinged them email to Hohem telling them about my experience and I got a reassuring email back saying that they are aware of this and they are trying to work on a solution. So hopefully that's going to be fixed very soon. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed because I would really like to have a set like that in my array of devices. Until then, I'll be limited to use the Hohem Mic-01 in a specific settings on my camera, but as I've not tested this with any other cameras, I'm unable to tell you if this problem is present on different camera models. And while we're talking about the DSLRs, it's worth mentioning that this set is compatible with gimbals that Hohem produced. I've used previously M6 and MT2 gimbals, which are great, and you can check the reviews in the corner. But this is where the extra USB Type-C ports on those gimbals come in handy because you can simply connect this device to your gimbal and then output the audio this way. Obviously, if you're using a mobile phone on your gimbal, you can plug this in directly to your mobile phone and forget about it. But if you have an action cam on DSLR, this is the perfect way to do it. After using both microphones for some time, I think it's fair to compare both of them because they offer a similar solution to your audio problems. So let's do just that. I was very keen what other sacrifices Hohem would make in order to bring the price so low versus the DJI Mic. So after playing about with the Hohem Mic for a week, I have a pretty good idea where the differences are. Now Hohem advertised 20 meters of usable range and 100 meters of the line of sight range. Now they use 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi in order to connect the receiver to transmitters, and in my test while walking around the house I didn't find audio to break up at all. Now while DJI Mic offers insane range, in reality you're never gonna venture that far unless you have a very specific need, and honestly most of the time you see the camera anyway, so I don't consider this to be such a downgrade. But what's definitely missing is the audio backup recording feature. On the DJI Mic you could stream your audio directly to the camera and make a local backup of that just in case the things go wrong. While this is not exactly possible with Hohem Mic-01, the transmitters have the SD card slot inside and you can use it to record the audio locally. Now this is only possible when the transceiver isn't connected, and it basically acts as a standalone audio capturing device, so you can use it that way, but it's one of the features that is definitely missing. But only because it's cheaper doesn't mean it's going to have less features, because I already mentioned the Android controls present, which weren't possible on the DJI set, but there is another handful of features that DJI simply doesn't have. We're talking about the reverb and noise cancellation, because yes, this microphone comes with a noise cancellation as well. Another thing where this actually excelled over the DJI Mic was the connectivity with my camera. Now, I identified a problem in which I was not able to use the mics without interference from my DSLR Wi-Fi. So each time I wanted to control my DSLR using tablet or mobile from a remote location, it would introduce the noise to the microphone and render the audio unusable. With Hohem Mic, I can confirm that it doesn't care whether you have it connected with a wireless enabled on your camera or not. The sound quality is the same, so kudos for that, and I like Hohem Mic-01 for that. The transceivers compared to the DJI set are much smaller. They also offer similar features, so you've got your 3.5mm jack for external lavalier, you've got your clip with a magnetic option, so you can use the magnet to clip the lavalier in place, and you have USB Type-C charging, which also works as a charging pass-through. By the way, I should mention that if you opt out to record to SD card, the battery lasts about 7 to 8 hours, and you should be able to record up to 90 hours of the audio footage onto the SD card, so this is plenty. If you require longer operation, simply plug them in via USB Type-C cable and you've got the problem solved. The receiver itself is smaller than microphones because it doesn't have a battery included or OLED display. I could complain more about the OLED display not being available, but in reality I've used that display like 3 times to set the settings to what I wanted, and I never touched it again. Yes, it's convenient to access all those settings, but once you go through the user's manual and familiar yourself with the pairing protocol and setting the gain, you'll be just fine. I appreciate the fact that this receiver has a USB Type-C pass-through, so if you, for example, using it with your mobile, you can just plug in the USB Type-C charging cable and charge your mobile as well as your provide the power to your device. But I would like to see ability to draw power from actual case, because if you plug it to a case in which has battery, it would be nice to have it as an emergency backup solution to power your receiver. Unfortunately, this is not possible, at least not for now. And now that you know pretty much anything there is about that microphone, let's actually put it to some good use. This is a sample recording with a DJI mic clipped into my t-shirt in a primal position, so you could kind of have an idea how does it sound. And because Hohem Mic-01 has noise cancellation, let's actually see how this microphone deals with a bit of the music in the background. This should give you an idea what the noise cancellation or lack thereof would do to DJI Mic. Let's switch things over. And now I switched over to Hohem Mic-01 and it's connected to my DSLR. I'm probably going to tweak the audio a little bit so you could get a better understanding what you can do with the audio submitted via Light-In at that level. But to give you the best understanding what the audio is like using a computer or mobile, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that receiver and plug it to my computer. Then I'm going to synchronize the audio from the computer with my camera footage, and you'll know what to expect on the mobile devices or when using this with a computer. And now I'm using my computer to capture the sound, and I'm going to overlay it onto the microphone audio from my DSLR for the probably best of both worlds. As I said earlier, it was a bit of a battle to get the audio right on my DSLR camera, and I don't know how many of the DSLR cameras are affected this way, so it's very hard for me to tell. But if you have a camera like that and switch it over to line N, you should definitely hear some improvements. I hope that's going to change, and Hohem will release a firmware patch or something to address those issues, but as it stands for now, this is what you can expect if you change your output to line in or input to line in and use the receiver with DSLR cameras. And as I was using DJI with music playing in the background, I decided to run the same thing and test the noise cancellation. So let's enable the noise cancellation on medium level. Change to green so I know it's working, and you're gonna have an idea. The music is at comfortable level. This is something I would use or listen to music at that level anyway. So I'm really keen to find out in post how well that went. Now switching over to more aggressive mode, I already know it's going to clip in the sound a little bit, so you're not going to get as clear of an audio. So let's do that. So it's yellow here, and it's right now dealing with the noise cancellation most aggressive form. I expect my voice to sound a little bit more artificial, and let's face it, it's not something that you're going to use quite often because you're going to care about the surrounding when making your recordings. Right, let's turn it off and let's get back to it. It's almost uncanny. As I was writing the review of Hohem Mic-01, DJI has released DJI Mic 2, and I'm really curious to see what are the improvements in that second iteration. That will definitely make the choice even harder for everyone looking for a lavalier microphone they wanted to use in their own creation. But as it stands for now, you can get Hohem Mic for relatively low price and start using on your mobile creations. Now, as long as you remember about the DSLR issues I've experienced and take that in consideration when making a purchase decision, then I would recommend the Hohem Mic anyway, because, well, as you could tell, the microphone quality is really good, especially for this price point. So well done, Hohem, on that. Let me know what you think about this mic and whether you use it with your on-the-go solution for making videos. And if you're interested, there's going to be a link in the description of this video. As for now, guys, I do not have a posting schedule. You know how YouTube works, use the tools provided. A couple of social media links on the screen, so if you want to start a conversation with me, this is the best way to do it. As for now, big thanks to Hohem for sending a sample for the review, and big thanks to you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.